Chardon, hey, true crime fans. Wow, it has been a minute, hasn't it? Oh my gosh. How has everyone been doing? I have been doing well. Let me take these off. You don't need to see what I'm staring at, which is myself, as usual, right? No, I'm just kidding, except I'm not. But welcome back to Chardon, hey, true crime. For all of you who have seen the show before, my name is Dakota, and today I am actually going to bringing in a new co-host. I would like everybody to raise their glass as we bring forth our new co-host, CM Addams. Yay!
Can I raise my own glass?
Raise your own glass.
Yes, as Miss Dakota said, hi, my name is CM Addams. I've actually been quite a fan of Chardonnay for a good minute, so I'm pretty excited to be here. So,
well, we're excited to have you.
Well, thank you.
And we've got our first comment right here up on the screen.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. All right, so let's talk about you for a minute. You know, you are our newest co-host. We are very excited to be having you. We are so excited about all of the ideas that you've brought to Chardonnay already, and I would love to hear just a little bit about you and what got you interested in true crime, since I think we are talking about one of your first cases, aren't we?
Yes, actually. This case that we talking about, the Santa Strangler, I think I want to say it was about maybe 2005, 2006, maybe a little bit later. I was in high school. I've always been very interested in true crime, you know, even like just reading it in the newspaper and stuff. But then it wasn't until I think it was NBC made a documentary about the Santa Strangler. It came on TV randomly, and I was like, okay, so this is normal, you know, like being interested in this kind of stuff, you know, morbid curiosity.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, the thing I love about true crime is that I've just noticed that there's this unspoken rule about how you just don't talk about the bad things.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like acknowledge it, you know, but obviously with people like us, you know, there's just always that big why in the back of our heads, you know, like why did these people do these bad things? You know, we want answers. We want to, you know, figure out what pushed these individuals to cross that, you know, boundary.
I think that's called neurodivergency.
That's true. That's true. We are divergent here. So it's like, you know, putting it underneath a microscope and, you know, just trying to figure out how humans tick, you know?
I mean, I know for me personally, it is definitely a part of my neurodivergency because I don't really understand why people do the things that they do in normal life.
Right.
So for them to do things on such an extreme level, it's just like, okay, I really don't get that.
Right. And then you want to know why. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, when the lockdown first started, a friend of mine bought me like an online class to do. She bought me 2 online classes to do. One was general psychology and one was criminal psychology. Right. And they were insane. Those classes were so interesting. Oh, they were so good. They were really good. Works. Yeah. I know for me, the first case that I really remember being invested in was Elizabeth Smart, the kidnapping.
Right.
Yeah. And I remember like driving, I think in Utah, and there was just this huge billboard like, have you seen Elizabeth Smart? And then like after she was rescued, they did a piece on her in Time magazine. And I remember reading that. And it was just this wild thing because she's not that much older than us. Right. So, you know, it was pretty wild.
Right.
Yeah. But since we are talking about your first case this evening, not mine, would you like to start it off?
All right. Yes. So, as we've stated before, we are discussing the Santa Strangler, aka Adolph Laudenberg.
Yep.
Unlike the lovable, jolly symbol of the holidays, you know, where he gets his nickname, he does not come bearing gifts, unfortunately. So bad news for everyone.
Yeah. He's on the naughty list.
Yep, very much on the naughty list.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was suspected of killing 6 people, but they only confirmed 4,
Yeah, and I mean, we'll talk about this later, but he was really only ever convicted of 1.
Right. It's insane.
Yeah, but he was born in Kentucky in 1926 to a family of German immigrants. Now, I will say there is very little information about his early life. We were able to dig up some scraps of info in our research, but really the biggest thing that we could find was that his mother was a hard drinking woman who died when he was very young, leaving him with his father, who was a butcher by trade. And his father was basically all he had to take care of him.
Right.
So, dad comes home covered in blood. Yay, dad's home.
Right?
I don't know.
Maybe that inspired some things, who knows, but but all we know is that there is a possibility, even though we don't have much proof, there is a possibility that the lack of a mother figure could have possibly traumatized him into his fixation later with the murders. Obviously, we'll talk about that later.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah. But it also could be because his mother was an alcoholic.
Yeah, that
And
too.
that could have caused a lasting trauma, and that kind of thing could haunt a child
Oh,
particularly.
absolutely.
And it is actually a fact that the women that he ended up killing later in life were older, hard drinking women
Right.
who could possibly be around, say, his mother's age when she
Right.
died. The fact is, we don't know, and I still haven't gotten the information that I requested from the state back yet. So,
Right. But we'll find out.
we will find out. Yes. Yeah. But
So,
anyway, go ahead.
oh yeah. But anyways, we do know that later, once he became an adult, like 18 years old, he did enlist in the army and served in Trinidad, California with I do believe it was the Naval Construction
Battalion.
Yeah, battalion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like especially during those times, the army was well, it still is to this day, pretty uncaring. Yeah, so it's like, okay, here, do all this, traumatic things and then just throw you back into society. Bye.
And then deal with it.
Right, and then deal with it.
Yeah. Just, oh, hey, could I maybe have like a therapist to talk to?
Right.
Army
not my Christian Minecraft. But despite all that, he was able to get married to a single mother named Anel, which I think she already had a son. Yeah, she already had a son from a previous relationship. And obviously, once you've gotten out of the army, once you've just had a rough childhood, you're just like, whatever, I'm willing to make this work out. And he even adopted the child, so obviously he's just trying to do the American dream, get married, have children, have the nice little picket fence.
I will say snaps to him for actually adopting the kid, because technically he didn't have to do that.
Especially during that time where, stuff like that was kind of frowned upon. So it's
yeah, totally. Let's see. He's about 18-ish when he married her. He's born in 1926. So this is like the early 40s, I want to say.
Right. Yeah. Where like big traditional values,
100%. Yeah, it is a lot of traditional values. So the thing with Anel is, yes, she married him and everything, but she supported her son by stripping, which, wasn't a deal breaker at the time, but it does seem like something that that did end up bothering him a little bit later in life. But at the time, he was just like, you know what? I'm going to marry this single mom stripper and I'm going to adopt her kid and we're going to have our American dream life. And gosh dang it, everything is going to be perfect.
Right. But just like any, well, normal, that's kind of a stretch, but just like any relationship, when you're trying to make compromises and stuff, sometimes there's just differences you just can't work out. Because I remember you saying in the notes that she was very extroverted. She liked to go out and dance and listen to music and stuff,
Oh
and he
yeah.
was just kind of more of a introverted recluse, which, depending
Yes.
on who you are, you can work it out or you can't. But in this case, they didn't. But
No, they didn't. No. But I will say this, it yeah, he was very introverted, but it is described as he could sit and stare at a fixed point for hours
right,
in
and
complete
I can just
silence.
see how that would be a deal breaker, especially for an extroverted woman. Like, hey, I'm gonna go out dancing, like, you want to come? Or just sitting there like, yeah, whatever. But
No, I don't even imagine that he even answered. I think, hang on, let me get into my creepy old man persona real fast here, because he was a
right,
creepy old man even when he was in his 20s. Just
yep, that sounds about right.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Ooh, those glasses mess up my eyes every time.
Oh, yikes.
It's bad. No, but he did actually have a hobby. He
Mhm.
started up his hobby. He would carve intricate and unique walking sticks, and he would either give them away to neighbors or he would sell them for like $10 a pop, which that's actually kind of cool. Like, good for you, bro. Like, build your little business, get on Etsy,
Right,
do your
you
thing.
tried. A
But,
little golden star for trying. You tried.
yeah, you tried. And once he left the service, he moved the whole family to California. And he began to work as a security guard at a steel plant, which is apparent. Well, I guess that's like the 40s. So, yeah, that is a thing. I was about to
Mhm.
say, which is apparently still a thing, but no,
Right.
this is the 40s. There was definitely a thing.
Mhm.
And eventually, he became a cab driver in the San Pedro area in the late 60s. So, we're moving along his life a little bit. We're getting there, he's got his relationship, he's got his kiddo, he's got his walking sticks, he's got his staring off into the distance and not acknowledging anybody ever exists. Just
Sounds
typical family stuff.
perfect.
It's typical family stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, just like any lovely true crime story, it does come crashing down eventually, because
If it didn't, he would be
despite
PK.
Annelle and him trying to like work it out for about 30 years, I think they eventually ended it in a divorce because they just
30 years.
right. It's like they tried, they really did, but what can you do?
I mean, what was the breaking point for Annelle at that point, man? Because I have
Right.
no doubt that she left him.
Yeah, that's
Just, I'm so tired of you staring at the walls. Just pay attention to me. For the love of God, why? Why are you always staring at the walls?
uh
Just, would you
yes.
like to speak to your son, Adolph? It's Christmas Day. Stop
Right.
staring at the walls.
That was the breaking point right there.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. That was it. But yeah,
Mhm.
no, they literally they divorced, and that's, again, like I said, well, like we have said, there isn't a lot of information about why they got divorced. Um we can assume it's because of their lifestyle differences. She liked having fun, he liked staring at walls.
Love those little
Um
walking canes.
yeah, yeah, but until the attorney general replies to my email requesting the public records about this guy, this is basically all that we can assume. Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, from what we dug up, he did try to remarry once, but it also quickly ended in divorce.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's
mean, it
right.
could it could be that, his childhood trauma, his unresolved trauma with his mother, and let's be honest, most likely his father, and, the unsuccessful relationships dragged him into a downward spiral of loneliness and resentment.
Yep.
Along with the fact that, like, let's be honest, being a cab driver is pretty lonely.
Yeah, because you're just driving around, you get to see people, but you don't really get to bond with them,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that kind of can
I mean,
that can really turn you into a bitter person, you know, and
yeah, I mean, they say that he's an introvert and everything, but like, let's be honest, there is an inherent need in all humans to have some sort of attachment.
right.
And I think with him, it is shown that he does have some attachment issues, and we'll get into that.
Oh yeah.
But you know, it's also very easy for a cab driver to drift from place to place because unnoticed. Because I mean, if you think about it, a cab driver never looks out of place.
Nope.
You
And it's
never
like,
be like,
are you really
"Hey,
going to
that's
suspect the guy just doing a service, you know, a public
yeah,
service? It's like, okay,
yeah,
just get in the car, drive, go home,
mhm,
whatever.
exactly."
So it
So
made it
there's
easy for him to like really blend in, you know. So once those sinister ideas eventually brewed up, you know, it's like, who would have suspected?
I'm yeah. I mean, it's like I feel like there was a we got a comment here from our old co-host Kate saying, "Just look at Coneheads." Beldar Conehead was a cab driver. So, you know what? Kate is right.
That's true.
And he was an alien who blended in because he was a cab driver.
Right.
Yeah. But no, I think that this is, you know, him working alone as much as he did, him having these really bitter feelings. It just kind of mixed up into this horrible, like, I don't know, brew that just
Yeah,
kind
like
of,
just a witch's brew that just boiled and spiraled out of control, and eventually he
mhm.
just snapped.
Yeah, yeah. And that brew turned into the Santa Strangler.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Speaking
You
of,
better watch out.
right, you better watch out. You better watch out. Okay, but
Oh my god, no, just like, but that's it. Just you better watch out. You better watch out. You
you better
better watch
watch out.
out.
You better watch out. But surprisingly
Oh.
enough, he didn't really get the nickname Santa Strangler until he was much older, you know, when he
Mhm.
grew that signature beard, you know, that nice sweet Santa look. But it's kind of funny that
Can't
symbolism
relate.
behind it because his first murder actually took place on Christmas Day. So it's kind of like symbolic. Right. And I believe his first murder
Yeah.
was in 1972. Am I correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the first murder of his was, I hope I'm saying her name right, Lois Petrie.
I think it's Petrie.
Petrie? Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds better. Yeah, Lois Petrie, she was a 43-year-old woman. She, yes, never leave your witch brew unattended.
Mhm.
Yeah, she was leaving a bar at like at midnight, I think it's San Pedro.
It was like 1:30 in the morning, I think. I
Yeah,
don't
like
know.
super
It was
late, you
pretty
know.
late. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like down on her luck. I think her
Mhm.
husband just died of cancer. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, what are you going to do except grief and, you know, drink yourself into oblivion,
I mean,
obviously.
she was
So,
also pretty well known. It was pretty well known that she was a barfly. She was the kind of person that would just like go to a bar and then go home and do her stuff. I don't know. But
right,
it's not hard to imagine that, you know, someone in that I don't in that place, just
right,
in that state of being would hail a cab.
right. You know, you're just thinking to yourself,
Mhm.
okay, I've paid my dues, I've mourned, drank myself
Mhm.
under the table, and now I'm just going to
Mhm.
call a cab and go home. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
you wouldn't expect anything else.
And I mean, not only that, but you know, if you think about it, like, where is a good place for a cab driver to park and wait for fares outside of a bar?
Outside of a bar, yes.
Yeah.
And it fits his status quo, like of what he's looking for. You know, where are you gonna find old drunken ladies? At a bar.
At a bar. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this was most likely a dive bar because you would not find those old drunken ladies at bar sit. Well, you know what? These days, yes, you would. But
Maybe.
but anyways.
Right.
Anyway.
So after, you know, leaving into a cab, drifting off into the night, I think it was the next morning, the next morning after Christmas, she was found in her bedroom, partially nude and sexually assaulted, as well as
Yeah.
very much dead.
Very much dead. She had been strangled to death, and the killer didn't leave any fingerprints. So, the general consensus is he most likely wore gloves, but being that it is December and it is in a beach town, that's not hard to believe that someone would be wearing gloves because, it gets cold near the beach. You know that.
Right.
Yeah. But he did actually leave something that would be completely useless to investigators in 1972. He left his semen.
Right. And it's like,
Yeah.
what can you do with that at that time?
In
So,
1972, literally nothing, but
mhm.
they kept it. Thank
Right.
goodness.
And I think that actually does help later in the
Mhm.
investigation, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, now the next confirmed murder wouldn't take place for almost 2 more years. It
Mhm.
was, August 1974. Catherine Medina was found by her husband drinking in a neighborhood bar. The 2 fought, and he dragged Catherine out of the bar.
Yeesh.
Yeah, that's not healthy, bro. That is
Yeah.
not healthy. And, apparently they lived close enough to the bar that they could, like, walk home, so,
Mhm.
that's nice. That's always a nice thing, but I imagine while they were walking, they were probably arguing considering what Catherine did next.
Right. Yeah, she jumped into a car just with a random guy who just happened to be Adolph. It was like, wow, that sucks, you know? It's
That
like
is
you tried
some
to get away from, like, one bad situation and then flung yourself into another one. It's like, that is just such
so
bad
much of a
luck.
worse situation. So much of a worse. I mean, we don't know that her husband wasn't going to murder her, but I would say there is a very highly likely chance that he was not going to murder her, and unfortunately,
It's like you're
she
just
got
damned no matter what. Like, that just
yeah,
my heart breaks for her for real, because
yeah.
it's like you were just what could have you have done, you
She
know?
just wanted to have a good night. She wanted to go out with her girls and get a little tipsy, you know?
Right.
But no, her husband had to, like, show up and he'd be like, "Catherine, why are you here? Why didn't you make me a meatloaf?"
Oh my god, not the meatloaf.
And she's just like "Ah." And, of course, this
Yes,
one.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Mhm. It's
Right?
pretty much yeah, pretty much. Um, no, it's just, "Why didn't you make me my meatloaf?" She's like, "It's 1974. I am a liberal woman. I am a feminist.
We make Yeah, we don't make Jello with, like, fruit in it anymore. Come
We
on,
don't
get
make
with it,
tuna
George.
jello."
But
God, I made myself
despite,
unhappy.
not making him a Jello or a meatloaf, she drifted off into the night, wasn't found again, and then I think it wasn't until the following day when her
Yeah,
body was found
yeah.
outside of, like, I think it was Harbor Lake, the park. Yeah, her
Uh-huh.
I think her nude body was, like, found there.
CM.
It's like, yeah, she was also strangled, no, I don't think any
He
evidence
want
was left.
he wanted he wanted a meatloaf jello.
Yes, a meatloaf Jello.
I'm
God,
also
just imagine his
making
reaction, just like,
I'm
"Oh, I
making
just
our
wanted a
audience
Jello. I just wanted a meatloaf Jello."
I'm making people uncomfy.
Oh, no. Yeah, let's drop the 1940s crazy foods now. I don't think
It's
about
the
that anymore.
'70s, but, you know.
Mhm. But yeah, that was his second murder. I think the third murder did yeah, I think it was the same year, 1974, when the third murder was confirmed.
Sorry.
Oh, no, it's cool. Meat Jellos is where we draw the line.
The
Murder not,
audience
that's
is so
okay, but
mad at me.
meat Jello, mm-mm. No morals. You got no morals, man. Mm-mm.
Oh, man. It's so bad. Also, I just wanna give a shout out to my mom right now who knows that I have an unhealthy crush on Dan Aykroyd and just texted me that Dan Aykroyd and his wife are getting divorced.
Hey, you got a chance. Shoot your
That's
shot.
literally what my mother just said. joking. I was like,
Oh,
I'm
that's
gonna
great.
take it. And she goes, heart emoji. Do it.
Do it. We're all rooting for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I just needed to give that shout out real quick. You know,
Oh, shout out to moms.
this show happens live. My mom called me today and was like, how's your true crime going? I was like, it's going good, Mom. Thank you.
Your
I love
mom
my
should be
mom.
watching somewhere. If she is, sorry. That's all I gotta say.
I'm not sorry.
Sorry, Mom.
I'm not.
Or maybe I'm not, depending on how she reacts. But,
Yeah.
either way, it's happening. But anyway,
Yeah.
back to murder.
Murder time.
Yeah, I think the third murder was Anna Felch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say I think, I know. I'm looking
Yes,
at the notes.
it
was Anna Felch.
it's the third
not too long
confirmed
after.
murder.
Right.
Yeah.
Anna worked at a hot dog stand on Cabrillo. I hope I'm saying that right.
Cabrillo.
Yeah, Cabrillo. See, I haven't taken Spanish in a long time. I need to get back on
And you're
that.
not from California like me, where that's just kind of like all of the
Right. Yeah. I'm learning. I'm adapting. I'm learning. But yeah, she was again, picked up after a late night of drinking outside of the San Pedro bar again.
Yes, because that is his hunting ground. He's comfy there.
Right. After, God, I feel so bad for her, after just a long day on the hot sun, selling hot dogs. You just want to have a drink,
God.
have a good time.
And you smell like hot dog,
Right.
Like, ugh.
I bet that's why he picked her.
I know. I was gonna say, he was just like, oh God, she's stinking up my cab. All right, that's it.
Yeah. It's gonna leave evidence. Now people are gonna know.
Oh, it just reeks like hot dog in here. So bad. Oh my God. I am so sorry. Like,
but yeah, despite the hot dog smell.
So yeah, despite the hot dog.
I think she was found only hours after her murder. So people are starting to catch up, like, hey, something's going on here.
Yeah, she was found by a construction worker. Construction workers usually get to their site by like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, because they don't want to, like, especially in the summertime, they don't want to be doing construction too late into the day because it's going to be so hot.
Right.
So like if you can get like some of your work pumped out before it gets like broiling hot, then yeah, do it. I mean, of course, this is before global warming and everything, but but the last known confirmed case would take place several hours north of his usual hunting ground. We still don't know why he was in the San Francisco area because, again, the Attorney General has not returned my emails.
Right. Hint, hint, if he's watching.
Just saying, check your email.
Check your email.
I need those public records. What is the point of having an email if you're not going to check it?
We want answers. We demand them.
But anyways, yes. So it is at this point that the last confirmed case would take place. It was several hours north of the San Pedro area in San Francisco. And it is what I would consider to be the most brutal of the killings in... Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, no, it's 75. Sorry. In April 1975, Leah Griffin, a legal secretary who was once again trying to drown her woes in alcohol. She had just been diagnosed with breast cancer, and that is,
especially during that time, that's like heartbreaking news, because
it really is.
It's like, what can you do? Like, technology and medicine wasn't advanced. It's like you're literally just waiting around.
I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, it's 1975.
Right. You're like, what can you do except, just drown it out in alcohol? Because it's like,
I mean, I think
I'm not going to magically
but
right.
I don't know. But I mean, it couldn't have been
for her, for real,
Seriously, not just because she was murdered, but because
right,
like she was going through a hard time, y'all.
Right. It's like she just needed a little pick me up, but unfortunately, the pick me up would be her downfall, because
Yeah.
that was the thing I just
Mhm.
really do not like about Adolf is
He
he would
went for
pick
the
her,
vulnerable
yeah,
people.
pick these women that are
Mhm,
just so down on their luck,
mhm.
just
Just
at their worst possible point where they could really just use a hand of kindness. He took
and instead
advantage
they
of
got
that.
his hands around their neck.
Exactly,
And
and
that's
it's
even
like,
the worst part is that he manually strangled these women. Do you
right.
know how hard it is to strangle someone? Like, for God's sakes.
Especially like,
Ugh.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, choke
So
the
it's
life out
like,
of ugh. But
ugh,
the reason that this one was so much worse is not just because she was just diagnosed with breast cancer,
right,
but she had been found bound, raped, and strangled in the residential hotel she lived in. I mean, for
right,
God's sakes, she lived in a residential hotel. That's like
right.
a
It's like,
pay by the week kind of situation. Just
right.
bruh.
And that's like
Bruh.
almost the ultimate struggle because like you're about to be homeless, like your life is
Mhm.
literally falling apart. And it's
You
like,
can't even, like, save up money because you're spending all of your money on a freaking residential hotel.
right.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like,
rough.
yeah, my heart definitely broke for her because it's just
Oh,
like
yeah.
she really could have just used just anything except what she got. She deserved
Yeah.
so much better.
She really, really did. Now, in our opinion, 1975 is a very important year to bring up. Not only is it the year of the last known killing, but it is also the first year that Adolf confessed his crimes for the first time.
Buckle in, y'all, because it's a story. It is a
Buckle up.
story how it happened. Like,
Buckle up.
yeah, so get this. His adopted son, his name is Steve. Shout out to like the
Steve.
good Steves out there. Um, I'm just
I
assuming
don't
he's a
know
good
any.
Steve, but um, proven otherwise. But at this point,
I mean,
he
he's been
moved to
divorced twice, so
Pittsburgh.
there's gotta be a reason for that.
Right, yeah, he moved to Pittsburgh, beautiful, beautiful city, by the way. Love Pittsburgh. But he was
Never been.
dating a lovely woman by the name of,
Genie.
yeah, Jeannie. And they eventually, fell in love, got engaged, and decided they wanted to move back to California to be closer to family.
Mhm, mhm.
And
I
Jeannie went ahead and moved out to California to be like, you know what, let's get our life started, be a happy couple. That sounds a little familiar. Shout out to Mark. But anyway, yeah, but I digress.
this
It's
Mark,
like to get a home sent, to
this
get a
one
home
right
set
here,
up.
yeah. This
Yes.
one who's saying that he's gonna send the link to the show to your mom.
No, not my mom. I'm joking. She'll love it. She'll love it. But anyway, she's
I'm just teasing. I'm
into
giving
this
him a hard
nerdy
time.
stuff like I
Shout out
am.
to
So
Mark
shout out
because
to
if it
mom.
wasn't for Mark, you and I never would have met either.
Hmm. Yep. Shout out to Mark for introducing me to my true crime buddy now. Oh, hi, Mark. But
Oh,
anyway,
hi, Mark.
right. So yeah, so she's trying to go to California, start their
Mhm.
new life
Yeah.
together, and she meets up with Adolf, and her future father-in-law. You're thinking like, wow, I'm gonna be invited into the family. We're gonna do the fun little father-daughter things. Like what I like to think most newlyweds think. It's like pure platonic. Let's get our life started together. I'm gonna be one of the family kind of thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, so they're going around, looking for apartments, thrifting furniture, going on little weekly errands, just bonding together and stuff. But unfortunately, I mean, it wasn't unpleasant, but unfortunately, it seemed Adolf had other intentions. Let's just say that
Let's
much.
just say he wanted her to call him dad and not in the good way.
Yeah, basically. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So,
I am both mad and amused at myself right now.
mhm. Because it's like, okay, like this is actually not
Oh.
the first time I have heard this kind of situation go on. I think there was
Yeah,
another case,
yeah.
which I think we can eventually go on. I can't remember the name at the moment, but there was actually another case
Yeah.
of a woman marrying into a family and the dad figure actually falling for her instead. But you know, we'll get into that another show.
Mark.
Mark. Oh my gosh, Mark.
For those of you who are listening and not watching this, Mark has decided to say he takes Choke Me Harder Daddy to new levels.
Pretty much. Oh my god. Would it be bad if I turned that into
I cannot believe we didn't think of that. I mean, all of the conversations we've had about this freaking episode this week, and we didn't think of that. This is a wasted opportunity, and I hate myself a little bit.
Hey, we're learning though. Santa
Anyways,
said, "Choke me, Daddy."
So,
well, I mean,
as we are alluding to, Adolph, you know, was helping out Jeannie with, you know, errands and stuff like that. But I think that like Adolph kind of got used to having a lady around.
right.
And you know, I believe that.
Yeah. So eventually, you know, conflicting
He
feelings
got used to having
happen.
a lady, and then he was just like, "Oh, hey, Jeannie, guess what? I'm in love with you."
And I can just see Jeannie just being like, "Thanks, Dad." Like, I don't know.
She did call him dad too in the MSNBC like documentary thing about it.
Right.
Like she was like, "I called him dad." And we're like,
Right. And it's
"Oh."
like, oh my god, I feel so bad for her because it's like, what can you do in such an awkward situation like that, you know? Because it's like, I'm kind of marrying your son. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sign up for this shit.
Yeah. And she brushed him off because of freaking course she did.
Right.
But Adolph,
What do you do?
but Adolph being named Adolph, and we can assume having some weird level of persistence.
Right.
No offense to everybody out there who is still, for some ungodly reason, named Adolph. But
Sorry.
at this point in your life, I would think you would need to change your name. Just
Yeah.
that name is ruined.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all.
I'm sorry, but legally that name is not allowed.
Right. No Adolph's allowed. We should make that a sign. But
yeah,
anyway.
we really should.
Yeah, so eventually I think
So eventually, you know, she said that one day they were just driving together, and then he turned and confessed his crimes to her.
God, like,
can you
I can
imagine?
imagine how that situation went because it's already awkward, you know? And it's like, okay, you're already like confessing that you like me, even though I'm literally your son's like fiance. But hey, let's just throw on top of that, you know, I'm a killer.
Hey, Jeannie.
Yeah.
So, I killed 4 women.
Oh, that's so hot. Like, what did he expect was gonna happen?
Uncomfy.
Very uncomfy. Like,
uncomfy.
Like, what did he expect was gonna happen? Like,
oh
yeah, by the way, I like, you know, I like you, but I also like killed women. Like, yeah, that's totally gonna make her feel safe. Like,
right? Seriously.
That's one way to ring them in, you know? Oh my god.
I killed 4 women. They was my 4 sins.
Yeah, I think that's actually what he called it, his 4
Oh
sins.
yeah, no, he did. Yeah, he called them his 4 sins, which is why when I am being Adolph Laudenberg, they're my 4 sins. And I don't know why I'm giving him a southern accent, but I'm going with it.
German.
Do you want me to do a German accent? Because
I mean,
good. They are my 4 sins.
Oh my god, yes.
Bad. Jeannie, I must tell you, I have killed 4 women.
Oh,
you're welcome.
Just jumps out the window, like just jumps out of the car.
Jumps out the moving car.
Well, that's what I do. I'd just be like, okay, bye.
Yeah, right. Seriously. Oh god.
No thanks.
So, but here's the really interesting thing. Jeannie was terrified that she was going to become sin number 5.
Right.
And 1, 2, 3, 4. Sin number 5.
Yeah.
And as soon as Steve got to town and was like, Jeannie, I'm here. Let us make our life together.
Hold that thought, Steve. We got a fucking problem. Like,
what could it possibly be, my love?
your dad kind of likes me, and he also confessed that he kind of is a murderer, like a serial murderer. I think
to the police station.
Tell somebody.
To the police station.
Right. Da-da-da-da.
Props to Steve for not just like blowing her off.
Right.
You know,
he could have easily been like, no, that's my dad. He wouldn't do that. No, he was like, so that kind of makes me think, like, what if there was like a pattern when, you know, he was together with his mom? Yeah. He could like put the pieces together and be like, okay, no, that sounds right.
Right? Seriously, like, you gotta wonder, just like, how much did Steve know, and why wasn't he on that MSNBC documentary?
Right. Yeah, so I think they did go to the police together and be like, yo, this is what's going down. And for some reason, yeah, they laughed them off.
Yeah, that is a stunningly not surprising move by the police. Because, of course, that happened. Because it's the 70s. Right. You know?
And I think they actually did eventually go ask him, like, yo, did you kill these people? And he's like, no.
And they're like, okay, bye.
Right. It's like, I've noticed that, yeah, as usual, the police were unhelpful. Like, isn't that just a typical true crime thing? Just, hey, as usual.
70s. It's the 70s. It's all bell bottoms and sexism. Yeah. Huh. But I will say the police, they didn't even, because they went to the San Luis Obispo police. I can talk, I swear.
Words are hard.
They went to the San Luis Obispo police, and the San Luis Obispo police actually referred them to the LAPD because that's where the crimes had happened. They were like, they were finally just like, maybe we should just like make this someone else's problem. Let's just tell LA about it. Like, it'll be fine. Like, we'll just tell LA. And like they can deal with it. And then LA was like, "Ayo, did you kill them broads?" No. It's the 70s. They still say broads.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Right. Okay. Back to your merry ways.
Let's go do some cocaine about it.
Basically.
Right.
Yeah, I think after that, Jeannie and Steve got married anyway, and of course, for obvious reasons, he was not invited to the wedding. Yeah, basically, okay, Santa, we believe you. Thanks, Santa.
If you think I'm a murderer, I'm gonna put you on the naughty list.
Right. No, not the naughty list. Okay, you didn't do it.
Pretty much.
Go back to my, snorting up my snow. Like, okay.
We're gonna go make snow angels in the evidence locker. Bye.
Bye. Peace. Anyway. Yeah. Adolph was not invited to the wedding, obviously, and it's not just because of his shitty ass name.
No.
They moved back to Pittsburgh because obviously they want to get the fuck away as far as possible from this guy.
Yeah.
But even then, she was still getting like love letters and postcards from him, and it's like, dude, give it up. Like, I get it.
It's just like my guy.
Right. But anyway, eventually, I think, despite that, they ended up divorcing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then the case just went completely cold, and that's so disappointing for Jeannie, because it's like, you tried. You really did.
She tried really hard. She did. But eventually the case would get a break, 27 years later.
27 years.
27 years later. And it would happen because Adolph can't keep his fucking mouth shut around his daughters-in-law.
I know, that's so creepy.
I know, right? Seriously.
Yeah, this time it was it was a daughter-in-law, right? Yeah.
Ex-daughter-in-law at this point.
Ex-daughter-in-law named Renee. And she was like apparently close enough to him, you know, where she called him grandfather, let her kids around.
Hi, Grandpa.
Right. Let them like go out for ice cream and I don't know, other fun things that were going on in the 2000s. Chuck E. Cheese, I guess. God,
this is the pre-COVID time, so definitely Chuck E. Cheese.
Right. Go to that nice rat casino.
A child rat casino.
Basically. But anyways. Then one day, I think it was
see that guy in a child rat casino,
wouldn't you? Right. Just find a killer, you know. Just the typical Chuck E. Cheese experience.
Oh God, it really is. Do you remember going to Chuck E. Cheese when you were a kid and just like you would just like talk to like some random kid?
By the way, my dad's like, I mean, my grandfather's like a killer.
Yeah, right. No, but you would just like talk to like
in crisis.
Chrysler. No, but like you would just like you would go to Chuck E. Cheese and you would just like talk to some random kid and then they'd be like, "Do you want to come over to our table?" And you'd be like, "Yeah." And then you'd like go over to their table and hang out for a bit. It was like this weird communal child casino place. It was weird.
Just walk up to
I
the
will
table
give
and there's
them
the
this
Santa
Chuck E.
Strangler,
Cheese.
just eating some pizza.
Yeah.
Enjoying the tunes.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Also,
but anyways, despite his little Chuck E. Cheese shenanigans, you know, in 2002, he eventually confessed to Renee as well, talking about
it was
how he murdered 4 women, raped and strangled them, and pretty much just told her in explicit detail what happened, you know. And of course, Renee, being a smart freaking woman, despite the Chuck E. Cheese, you know, called the police. And this time, the police actually listened.
Yeah, and it's because this time there were new detectives on the case because this was now technically a cold case. It went to cold case detectives who were so desperate to solve anything that they were just like, "Oh my God, the phone is ringing. What do we do about that? The phone is what do we answer it?
I guess."
Hello?
Right. Hey, I need to I need to press charges against my own grandfather. Like, I mean, my father-in-law.
Okay.
Right.
For a crime.
Yeah, murder. Lots of them.
You guys, it's for a crime.
Yeah,
a real crime. We will take your crime.
Right. And then I think it was like just the way she was able to tell the details that they were actually taking her seriously, because it's like, okay, these are things only killers would know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that there were some details that weren't released to the public that she came to them with, and they were just like, holy geez, okie doke, let's take her seriously now. Alrighty. And they did. And at this point, Adolph is living in a mobile home in Torrance. So shout out Southern California. He was all up over you.
Right.
Yeah. And he spent a lot of time hanging around a car repair shop, which I found on Facebook, and it is still active. He was friendly. People liked him. He used to like tell jokes, but I mean, I'm sorry, that's just such like an old dude thing to do, is to just be like, I'm gonna go hang out at my buddy's garage,
drink some beer, you know, do the whole like the hill thing.
I'm gonna go tell jokes at my buddy's garage while he's fixing cars. Oh, hey, what you working on there, buddy boy?
Right.
Like, it's just such an old person thing to do. You know, so he was friendly, people liked him, and the police now were able to use a tool that they hadn't even considered being something that they would be able to tie someone to a case with in 1975.
DNA.
They had DNA. Yeah, DNA, suckers. Yeah. However, getting the DNA was not as easy as you would think. DNA from murder cases is not supposed to be thrown away, but sometime between 1975 and 2002, that is exactly what happened at the LAPD. So The detectives in the case, the cold case, these guys who are desperately trying to solve something.
Right.
They went to the coroner's office, and after much pleading and being like, "Oh, hey, would you like it if I showed you my badge?" They were able to flirt their way into the evidence room. Where the clerk showed them a filing cabinet, and she explained that some of the stuff in the filing cabinet was not in their computer yet and offered to let the police look through it. And when they did, they hit a judicial jackpot,
Pretty
really.
much. Like, I
Yeah.
think it was in the NBC documentary, the actual detective who found the piece of evidence even said, like, he went in just not expecting anything. He was like, I want there to be something, but my hopes are low. And then just lo and behold, there it was. I think it was like a blood stain.
It
And
was
there,
a slide. It was a
right, yeah, it was
slide.
a
Yeah.
slide. And he
Of
said,
like
like, he even said,
samples.
like,
Yeah.
right from the moment he saw it, he was like, this is it. And he was like,
Hmm.
took a minute just to believe, holy crap, it is right here in my hands. Like, we are about to
Yeah.
solve this case. Like,
Now, of course, in TV and everything, they get DNA back in like 20 minutes and they're
right,
like, "Oh, look, I put this DNA in and, it has been 20 whole minutes and the mass spectrometer is zooming and oh, we have the DNA back and clickety clickety click, there's the killer's DNA and it's perfect." In reality, it
it
takes 6 to
takes a
8
minute.
weeks to process that kind of a thing.
Right.
So, they sent it out to the crime lab and hoped for the best, and 6 weeks later, they got a call saying, "You're gonna wanna sit down for this."
Right.
Like, seriously, it was just, "Hey,
Don't bother standing up because you're just going to sit right back down. I think we found your guy.
we found him." Now, not only was there usable DNA, but they had enough to make a DNA profile of the killer. And their
Mhm.
next challenge was gonna be a tough one because old Adolph was not in the system. He had no priors, no criminal record, and the police had really no reason to get a court order against him.
Right. Because it's
To
like, how can you when somebody has such a clean record? And I think that's what
exactly.
makes this case so scary because it's
Look
like,
at him. He looks like Santa Claus. Like,
right.
why
He looks like a guy you
Santa
just,
Claus?
put your kid in his lap. Hey, what do you want for
Nope,
Christmas?
that's not what I wanted to
Justice.
do.
But,
Yeah, right? Seriously. I mean, look at this. Look at this guy. Look at his face. Look
right.
at
It's
that
like you
old
wouldn't
face.
suspect a guy looking like that to be a killer. Like,
If you go to the prosecutors and you're like, "Hey, this guy, we need his DNA," they're gonna be like, "What do you think you're gonna find in it? Gingerbread?"
right. Pretty much.
Right? Like, come on. They're totally not gonna take you seriously.
Right.
But what they did do was actually pretty smart. They got an undercover police detective to somehow find someone who knew Adolf, and within a half hour of giving her their business card and saying that there's like a string of car robberies in the area. Adolf, because old people love to talk to the police, called the police. I'm sorry, it's like such a weird old person thing, isn't it?
Right. Like you could just be doing something so innocent, like picking
Yeah.
trash off your own lawn or something, and an old person's like, hey, this really sketchy young looking person is like doing a good deed and stuff. You should come check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Hey,
call the
boomer.
police on those kids standing at a bus stop. They have backpacks.
Right. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
they're obviously a gang.
Right. So I think
But
like was it Adolf himself that suggested to like meet up at a donut shop with the
yeah,
undercover cop and like talk
yeah.
about it, making it seem like he's this like cool sleuthy guy.
So why are you talking to me, policeman?
Right. So when they get there, they just kind of start
What
talking.
is it? What is it that you want to talk to me about? You are
Right.
talking to me. Is it about some murders?
Oh no, just like car robberies and just things like that.
So you're not here to talk to me about the murders.
No, not at all.
So yeah, car robberies. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yes, let's talk
Yeah,
about
there was no
I'm
murders. I don't
totally
know what
not
you're
here
talking
for
about.
like murder or
There
anything.
was no murders. I did
Yeah,
not
who would do
kill four
that?
women. I
This
did
is a
not
nice
kill four
town.
women. I did not kill three in San Pedro and one in San Francisco. That never happened.
Oh, really? Okay. That's
No,
that's good to know. That's good to
it
know.
never happened. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. So,
Yeah,
after
but
that nice little
we're pretty sure that's exactly how the conversation went
yeah,
too.
pretty much. Just
Yeah.
like, "Are you sure? Yeah, we're not." "Okay, well,
So car
among
murders.
other
So
things,
car
we need some
murders. Yes,
DNA."
let's talk about the car murders.
Right, the comment is. Yeah, so after all that, he got up, left his coffee cup on the table, and left, like his freaking DNA just right there on the coffee cup, and the guy's like, "Yeah, hell
They
yeah."
call it so when you take a sip of something, they call it micro backwash. So when you
Mhm,
take a sip of something, not all of the fluid will immediately go into your mouth, and some of it will come back out a little bit
mhm.
at a microscopic level. Micro backwash can hold millions of strands of DNA,
That is fascinating.
right? I took forensic science for 3 years in high school before I dropped
Mhm.
out. So yeah.
Yeah, I took
So
a forensic
this
science for like 1 year. I think it was just for senior year.
mhm. So this amount of wine in my cup that I've been sipping for the last hour,
Mhm.
millions of strands of DNA.
I guess here we go. I guess mine would
Yeah,
too, just that little bit right there.
exactly. Exactly. So anyways, yeah, he left all of that DNA in a cup, just left it alone on the table, and that I cannot remember the legal term. um,
Not right now, Mark.
I cannot remember the legal term, but it's called like oh, that's gonna drive me crazy. Basically, the police wouldn't be allowed to take anything from him unless he were to like set it down and walk away. Like the same thing with trash. It's legal to go through someone's trash. Is
Right.
it creepy?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah, but it's legal.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
regardless,
yeah.
in this particular case, it was actually a
Mhm,
good thing because they were
mhm.
able to take that back to the crime lab and it was a match. Yeah,
Surprise!
so they found the killer. So it's like, okay,
It's a Santa
awesome. Now we can arrest
Claus.
this guy after like 34 years.
It's a Santa Claus.
Right. It was Santa Claus all along. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, kids. We need to take him
Mm,
in.
no presents this year. Santa was
Right.
on the bad list. Yeah. 34 years after Lois Petrie was found murdered, and 4 years after he first confessed to Renee, the case finally went to trial in November 2006. Adolph was now 80 years old, playing the feeble old man. Oh, I am so innocent. I don't know why they are attacking me.
Like, oh, my
Oh,
poor, my
excuse
poor
me.
bones, like,
Oh,
okay,
my
dude, come
bone.
on.
Oh, my beard. They are
Oh, my
attacking my
poor
beard.
beard.
They are attacking my beard. How dare you question the innocence of my beard?
Right, but unfortunately for him, both Jeannie and Renee showed up, and it's like, oh, now my creepiness is coming back too.
Coming back to haunt
Right.
him.
So they both confessed, like, no, he did confess to both of us that he did it.
Mhm.
The first
Yeah,
time it
they
wasn't
testified
clean.
about him, and the funny thing, he confessed to both of them 27 years apart.
Right.
Like,
So it's like,
thank you.
right.
Yeah. Yes,
But
well, that was because CM decided that he needed to be German.
yes,
Yeah.
just respecting the German roots
Yeah.
as I do an Italian hand gesture. Sorry about that. I'm Italian by blood, but anyway, that's a
Same.
story for another day. But yeah, the
Yeah.
trial lasted 3 weeks because of
Mhm.
this,
Mhm.
because you got enough evidence.
Yeah, and
They
the
only
jury only took 1 day to deliberate,
right.
and they eventually returned with a verdict of guilty of murder in the first degree.
Yep, and sentenced to life in prison. I mean, not much
Yay!
of a life left, but regardless, jury fuck Santa. Yep, basically. Fuck you,
Pretty
Santa. You
much.
murder people, right?
Now he and his legal team did raise some concerns about the circumstances surrounding how the officers obtained his DNA sample and tried to bring up privacy issues, with the police arguing that the discarded items were considered public property and therefore they had needed to get legal permission to get a sample. His legal team tried to appeal on those grounds, but the appellate court held up the conviction and ruled that the argument that the expectation that a restaurant employee should have thrown the cup out was ridiculous, basically.
Right, because it's
They
like, okay,
rejected it.
like, you still murdered people regardless. Like, who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah, exactly. You're not getting out because on a technicality, Santa.
Right. But regardless, after all that, he still got sentenced to life, and he eventually, very recently, well, not very
Yeah.
recently, like years ago, died in prison June 26, 2015.
7 years ago.
Days before his 89th birthday. So he never got to see 90. He never got to see 100, so it's like, okay, well, it sucks that he only really got 9 years in prison, but
Yeah.
at least he kind of died knowing he got caught, and that, eventually, you have to pay for what you do,
And he died in prison, so there you go.
Sorry, Santa, you're not excluded.
Fuck you,
but,
Santa. It's the same thing. There's been a lot of talk in the media and everything lately about the Golden State Killer. He's in prison. He's pretty fucking old.
Right.
He's been pulling that whole, oh, I'm so feeble and old in court. But what he doesn't know is that there's cameras up in his prison cell. And he was caught on video, like, climbing on top of his desk to, like, cover up the lights in his prison cell so he could sleep and stuff. And it's just like, bro.
Right. It's like, come on now. Like,
Bruh.
You weren't thinking about your old age when you were killing these people, all right?
Yeah.
Like, live with it.
Yeah. Bastard.
Right.
But that is the story of Adolph Laudenberg.
AKA the Santa Strangler.
That is right. And
no more.
He's dead. Right. Santa is dead.
Yep, sorry guys.
God, that was a dark note.
You'll have to contact Krampus now, Yeah, he'll beat you, but at least he didn't kill anybody.
But I mean, you might be into that, so Yeah. But anyway, so what have we got for next week? Do you remember?
I do believe we were going over, I think his name was please tell me if I'm wrong, Richard Cottingham, I believe.
Cottingham.
Okay. Cottingham, yes, another lovely gray-bearded, lovely Santa-passing individual who is capable of sinister crimes.
Yeah, Richard Cottingham was also known as the Times Square Killer and the Torso Killer, and he is going to be a very interesting one to talk about. Especially, now here's a little fun fact just to tease you guys for next week. Richard Cottingham worked at the same place as Rodney Alcala, aka the dating game killer.
Oh, I'm so excited to go over him.
Oh, it's going to be so interesting. It really is.
Yes, it's going to be very fascinating. So definitely stick around for that.
And until next time, don't forget, you can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Chardonnay TC. You can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you sign up for our dollar level on Patreon, you have access to our Discord server where we are accessible literally all the time. I have Discord on my phone and I'm constantly on Discord. So check us out on there.
24/7 party.
Patreon,
Join us.
Patreon, we've got some really fun stuff coming up. We are going to be talking about a lot of different things on there. We're starting some new video series on Patreon that you can only see if you are on our $5 tier. So check that out. Until next time, this has been Shard and Hay True Crime, and we will be back with the Torso Killer next week. Have a great night, everyone.
Alrighty.